Hey, everyone. It is Sunday night. Oh, what a weekend. It's been absolutely insane. As you can see, the ginormous mountain of books behind me, and there's more where that came from, which is a good thing. I'm not going to complain about having lots of packages to send out. I said package. But anyway, so definitely excited about tonight. We're going to chat with Dustin again, and we're going to run through our sponsors real quick. We have Hazzum Productions with Tina and Rodney Fike. They have their newest project on right now, Pitter Patter 2. Check it out on Kickstarter. It is in the link in the description above under Hazzum Productions. And check out their other titles as well, including Peanut Pudding and Jelly and Roadkill Rampage at www.hazzum.com. We also have Melone Management with Lisa Melone. Do you have a crowdfunding campaign that's running or that will be running soon? Hit up Lisa Malone. She can take care of you. Whether you're doing Indiegogo or Kickstarter, she can help you set up your project. She can help you spread the word about your project and look up your stretch goals while you keep cranking out on that bad boy. Hit her up. We got 183 Degree Studios with Alfred Trujillo, Doobie Doobie Doo, as well as AZ Power Girl and Karen Nicole. Check out their whatever the heck you call that. Wow, brain fart. It's been that kind of a weekend. Oh, man, I need help. What in the heck? I cannot think of it. That is hilarious. But anyway, check out their website at 183 Degree Studio. And we also have Codex Entertainment LLC with Luis Torres with Lily the Demoness Chapter 5, which is still live for a little bit longer. Check out their other projects, including, hey, what's going on, Wendy? Ace and Starlet, Nebula, Pearl, and Whispers in Necropolis. We also have Naughty Faeries with Miss Wendy Steenshaner. Check out Naughty Faeries in the link above for the Etsy store. Get caught up on all that lovely Naughty Fairy goodness, as well as the backer kit link in there. And I believe you still have some of the Stripper Day sale stuff in there. So if not, correct me on that, Wendy. We also have Outpost 426 Studios with CB Zane and Michael Shoemaker. Check out their awesome projects, The Mighty Might, Scorpiana, Into the Suck, and the soon-to-be Black Rabbit. And we have DPopp Customz. Last but not least, you have a print that needs dusting off, and you need to show it off with some awesome framing or some light-up frames, or you even want to play music to it and have the light stands. He can hook you up. So check out DPopp Customz. And yeah, StreamYard just pooped out on the computer, so hold on a second. I apologize for that. I'm going to bring out our guest now, Dustin. Oh, geez, what a day! Everything's
Hey
going to
man,
go wrong
if you
today.
need help, don't ask me. I'm not great at those things.
I'm not either, man. I can't even help myself. I cannot, for the life of me, think of what I was trying to think of.
Man, you got some serious serious sponsors going on tonight for this show. Hey Wendy, how's it going?
It is. Stripper
Oh,
Day and Fair Day issues are there on the Etsy store. Awesome.
badass.
And she says hi, Dustin, and hi to John.
Yeah, there's a bunch of really cool sponsors on there tonight. That's exciting.
Yes, it is. I cannot think. What is that thing that people put their art on? That it's not OnlyFans. It starts with the P.
Oh no, Patreon.
Patreon. Thank you. That's what I was trying to think of. Check out Alfred
Yeah.
and Kara's Patreon links
Oh,
above.
for sure.
I'm like,
He's a
what in the
monster.
hell is that word that I'm trying to think of? It starts with a P. I don't even know. This is insane.
I think they're at Comic Palooza this weekend, if I'm not mistaken.
And yeah, they are. They're set up there. Let's see. What's up, guys? Favorite pulp characters? Uh-oh. See, we already got questions coming out of the gate.
Oh man. Oh hey, Andre, how's it going? Favorite pulp character? Oh my gosh.
Orange juice. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh man, that's a good one though. So I actually have a pulp book coming out next month. It's called Babes, Gore, and Dinosaurs. It's put out through Totally Rad Comics. So yeah, I guess that's my favorite pulp character, Ricky from BGD. I'm excited about it. I was never a big pulp guy, so you know that's where I'm at with it. That's my pulp. Where are you at, Russ? What do you got for pulp?
Raziel, man. I'm telling you, that's where it's at right there.
He said get out of pulp and get into sci-fi, dude. That's what he said. Get over into the sci-fi world.
That's right.
Gotcha. I'm with you.
Well, I mean, this is kind of like a pulp book here. The way, I mean, the art isn't really pulp-ish. But I mean, I don't know, man. It can be considered a pulp story. I mean, that's the way
For
that
sure.
Brian K. Morris, he said this is more of a pulp fiction than anything. It
Right
really
on.
reminded him of a lot of the older pulp books.
I love that. This guy Ryan says his favorite is The Shadow. The Shadow was an incredible series that didn't get its
Absolutely.
due. I don't think. You know what I mean? Remember as a kid, I had the invisible Shadow figure that he could you'd squeeze his legs and he'd throw up his arm with his cape and his gun. Really, really cool stuff. The Phantom's another good one.
Yeah,
For
the
sure.
Phantom is another good one.
Absolutely.
So,
Lots of
man, so we talked a little bit last time when we had you on for Greed. We had talked about, where the stories, for Greed and the listener came from. You kind of want to tell that tale a little bit again for people that don't
Yeah,
know?
we can for people that don't know. I started with the listener back in October of last year. Was the first Kickstarter we did, and it started out with the death of my uncle Les, and that's where it really all began. Les was a Native American Green Beret. He was one of the first, and he used to tell us all kinds of crazy ass stories, and I mean, you'd eat them up. You know what I mean? It'd be like, oh, this is really cool. That's really cool. But he would start telling us these terrifying, terrifying tales about the stuff that he dealt with, overseas and all the stuff that was going on. And there's a terrifying tale right there. My 3-year-old toddler coming in here. Here, buddy. Good night. So, but he'd just tell you all this wild shit, and he was eat up by PTSD really bad. So one minute you'd be talking, and the next minute he'd be reciting some crazy ass shit that he was dealing with, or talking about explosions, or you were supposed to talk to the CO, or da 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 da, and then be like, Jesus, Les, calm down, and it was like months of that, man, before he passed, and I don't know, I didn't want anybody to forget the stories, so I put together the listener, and I tried to make it as relevant as I could to all cultures and not just our culture, and to make it scary because God knows we're all, we're browbeaten with horror and stuff. So I had to make it different. I had to bring it into a new light almost, because if you're going to tell somebody that you've got a character that can see God talking to Zeus at one point in time, you definitely got to have a way of breaking that seal. You know what I mean? You got to have a way of getting there. So, yeah, that's where it started out. And I think that's, sadly, where a lot of good tales start from is death. So that's where it began. It's nowhere near over. I mean, we're at book 3 right now. We're smashing through stretch goals right now for book 3. And if you haven't read book 3, any of the other books, don't worry about that. That's cool because they're all available on our Kickstarter right now. And almost every cover, with the exception of the limited run prints and stuff like that, are on there. Yeah, man, it's definitely been watching a man who I looked up to as a child and stuff wither away in his old age, and just succumb to almost insanity. It had to be documented in one way or another, and this was the only way I knew how. I mean, and it became this super. I mean, we have a fan base. I didn't think that was a thing. You know what I mean? Now all of a sudden there's a fan base, and people want to know what's going on, and they love the art, and they love this, and they love that, and that fuels the will to continue. Even if you're writing about something that's, to you is painful and stuff, it's still, that's where it comes from. You dredge it up. You pull the best of stuff from the worst of stuff. So,
Well,
yeah,
now those memories can live on in infamy too.
for sure. He's on the back cover of every book that we put out. So, with the exception of Greed, you know what I mean. He's on all the listener books, no matter what cover you pick up, unless it's a store exclusive that asks to put their store on the back.
Well, and it gives a different reading experience too, because a lot of books you go through, comics and stuff, you read them, and it's like it's fiction, the stuff that happens, and it is unreal, and it's unrealistic, and it would never happen. So it's always got that fantasy, sci-fi or superhero vibe to it. But the listener, people are reading this and going, hey, these are some of the tales that were told, from your uncle, and it's like this stuff happened in real life, and it brings a little bit of kind of a scariness, a grit.
For sure. I think that the wild stuff about the listener is not the fantasy or the supernatural that we bring to it. And I tell everybody the scariest shit is the real shit. We introduce a young girl in book 1 that is literally about to be killed to keep her from alerting people to their position. And in reality, the young girl was killed. In our book, she's not, but in reality, she was, because my uncle was powerless to stop it at the time. But I know that he wanted to stop it, so we changed that in our book to where she is saved, and she becomes a main character throughout our series after that. So there's a lot to be said about the supernatural and all that stuff. But like I said, the scariest stuff's the real stuff. Guys getting scalped. Splash. I love splash pages, and I use them at least twice a book, just because I love the 80s, 90s comic styles. Your Jim Lee X-Men's and stuff. So you get big pages from us. It's never for lack of art. You get big pages. But I'm a big fan of stuff like that. Let me see if I can grab. Actually, hold on. I've never shown this live, so let me see if I can find it while we're sitting here talking, and I'll bring up I'll bring up the actual page. Hold on. Yeah. So my uncle talked about how nasty it was one time when a dude like literally took 2 dudes off at the top, like literally took it right off at the top. So I had to put it in the paper, man. I had to make that happen. I don't know. I'll find it. But if you guys have any questions for me, I'm more than happy to answer them. But whether it's Greed, the listener's only got 4 more days left on it for this Kickstarter. Like I said, we just went through the first stretch goal for Marissa Pope's sketch cover. So everybody that backs physically will get a sketch cover, a Marissa Pope's cover, which is really, really cool, I think. And that's going to be a Kickstarter exclusive. That'll never be for sale in any other medium. So I'm really, really happy about that. When you have 50 million folders titled The Listener, it becomes difficult to find pages. Yeah, hold on. I've got them in here. Here it is. All right, here's the splash. Let me see if I can share it real quick. And this is funny because at one point in time, years ago, I said I'd never share these pages live. But there's the splash. This is actually 2 pages split down the middle. Let me see if I can zoom out. But we had a lot of fun with this particular page group. Eric Viola is a monster. He's an absolute monster, and he definitely brings my stories to life in a way that I couldn't imagine otherwise. Now that we've been working together for a year,
that art is beautiful. I mean, just the intricacy of how the clothes are standing away from his body.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's awesome, man. And the cool thing about Eric is as we go forward, he's just getting better as well. You know what I'm saying? So it's like book 2 was better than book 1, and book 3 is our most ambitious yet when it comes to the listener. So I thought it was really cool that we should do with this particular Kickstarter is because we've come so far, I actually put examples of each book on the Kickstarter so you guys could see them, like full page examples. So you could see where we were at a year ago to where we are right now. Well, not even a full year, but almost a full year to where we are right now. And it's been a phenomenal experience. And the fact that I'm where we are as a team where we are right now with like 18 people are on my team right now. And it's insane when we started with 3 of us, and now we're at 18 and we're putting out a book every month. It's just bananas, and everybody's so cool. It's working with such a varying group of people and art styles and stylistically speaking, where they are in their careers and stuff. It's just awesome. you know. And we've got a bunch of people that just came on with the next issue of Greed. We got Justin Hunt came on. You know, we had April Reyna had just come on for Greed, so she's on. Oh my gosh, she's on the next issue of Greed. She's gone over. She's working on BGD right now. Justin Hunt did Greed. David Fought did Greed. And shout out to David Fought, man. If you see this video, we hope you're doing well, man. You know, cancer's a scary thing, but you know, we're behind you and we're here for you when you come home. You know, so we've got all these great folks working on these covers and stuff. And then Jim Noble introduced me to Blade and Hunter, and he came on to do all my interiors. I'm sure you know who that is. I'm not going to throw the man's name out there because he's got his, you know, his art name he likes to use, but you know, he's smashing pages for us right now. So that's really, really cool. You know, Manny Soto is still with us on doing interiors on Greed. I couldn't ask for better folks to work with, man. You know, it's cool. And Steph Wilson came on, starting with BGD.
Who's that?
Yeah, exactly. Right. So he's got 4 covers for BGD coming out. I mean, it's just really cool, man. And, you know, it's like you want to come on and you want to talk about the listener and you want to be excited. But I'm like, cool, we've got 4 days left. I'll be talking about the listener with you guys in a couple months again. You know what I mean? Because the way we do books. And that's the coolest part about this. You know, I joked on Facebook the other day how people are talking about how they're cutting their pull lists, right? And I'm like, you know, just let us slide in there. We're putting out quality content every month. Don't worry about it. I got you. You know what I mean? It's like, it's exciting, man.
So how did you segue into the, you know, the pulp story?
Oh my gosh. So Gwen, I was talking to Jim live on our show, The Other Side.
I'm sorry.
Night. Yeah. So, well, we have a show called The Other Side. We do Wednesday nights and we bullshit and all that jazz, right? So I was talking to him and he sent me this fucked up image, like unbelievably fucked up image by Bladen Hunter. And it embarrassed Bladen the second that I saw it. So anyway, I saw this image and I was like, holy fuck knuckles, I could write a good story, you know? And next thing you know, I'm pitching it to Jim, and Jim's like, dude, I want to produce that book. And
of course Jim would.
I was like, okay. So, but it turned into something else when Gwen starts sending me this image of these crazy ass books she's finding on Amazon. And we're not going to get into all that because they were real bad. They were real bad. So anyway, so like my gay T-Rex boyfriend, yeah, it was just rough. It was real rough stuff. So so I'm sitting there and I'm like, man, I had this really cool idea about anthropomorphic dinosaur characters. And I remember as a kid, you know, I loved Jurassic Park. You know, I loved Aliens. I loved the sci-fi stuff. But at the same time, I really liked Blade Runner. You know, I liked that concept, that, you know, gun-toting dude in the future. You know, it was so cool to me. And the big cities and shit, right? And to be fair, I'd also just gone through Cyberpunk 2077 or whatever, you know, and it was like all those huge cityscapes were on my mind. And I told Bladen when he said he wanted to do it, I was like, dude, this is everything I got. You know, I give it everything I have every time. You know, if you're going to do it, you got to be 110% in it, just like me. You know what I mean? I ask that. You know, if you're going to do the interior work for my stuff, we have to be there 100% together. We have to be in on it. And he was like, yeah, I'm down. So all of a sudden it was like, I sent him the script. So I had a really cool friend of mine tell me, hey, look, I'm going to do, you should write differently. Try my style. And I was like, well, what do you mean? He was like, do pages, you know, do the layouts, send them to your artist, but then add the dialogue. Once you have the pages, because you can see the characters' faces, you can see their thought processes. And I was like, holy shit balls, I need to do that, right? So I put all these pages down, I sent him to him, he sent me 8 back, and they were banging pages. Like, if you've been following my Facebook page, they're fucking banging. And I was like, oh my God. So I send them to David Acampo. David Acampo kills the colors on them and sends them back. And I'll show you a couple of them here in just a second. But it was like, man, this is so cool. But I was like, how do I make it cooler? Right? What do I do different? And I was like, oh my God, he owns a titty bar. That's all I can, and I shouldn't say it like that. He owns a gentleman's club. I apologize. So anyway, so he owns a gentleman's club, but it's like dinosaur chicks, which we call saurians in our books, and human chicks, and it's run by a dude that's an ex-mercenary, and he's carved out this little side of the city, this little area for himself, and he tries to keep the peace. He tries to keep everybody a safe haven for people. But they can have fun and enjoy alcohol and not be pestered by police and not be pestered by, the long arm of the law or anything. But there's no trouble in his bar at the same time. There's no issues. And we named it Piece of Tail. And I thought that was the greatest name ever for a bar run by an ex-mercenary that doesn't like violence unless he has to. Because it's not P-I-E, it's P-E-A. So I thought that was a great title. And mind you, this was a team of artists and stuff coming from Totally Rad Comics. So they had already, this was what they knew. This was their forte, bringing, the boobs and the sexual content to life. Whereas I'm writing a pulp story with that sprinkled in. It's not the usual, what you would get from a Totally Rad book. And I think that's the most exciting thing about it. It's a literal pulp story versus, the usual type of deal that you would get. And
it's more than 8 pages.
Yeah, exactly. So, but he liked, Jim is offered all kinds of cool, insight on it and stuff like that. And it's been a really cool experience putting this book together. I have 18 fucking covers. I wasn't expecting that. But apparently that's a normal thing for Totally Rad. So
you'd be glad it's only 18 covers. Because like the one he had like 71 covers for. And I'm like,
amazing. But and he knows the business though. And I tell him all the time how I appreciate him showing me the different aspects that that it works and stuff like that. And but yeah, so I was like, I've gotta put out stuff that I would want to read. Because this isn't like The Listener. This isn't like Greed. This is something that's really from what I want to read more than anything. Like a really uber violent, just super cool, mad fun type of book, that you could pick up and put down and still like it like a week later. If you missed 2 issues, cool, whatever. It's great when you come back to it. It's like a bike. You know what I mean? It's a great ride. So I've had a lot of fun with it. It is super futuristic. You've got the flying cars. You've got the cloning type of stuff going on. There is a VR call girl, we'll call her, that's an interesting character in the book. She is like a full AI character, which is really interesting to me because I like bringing up things that make people think. How do we treat an AI? I think those kinds of questions that people like to avoid are interesting types of deal. And how would it be if a Saurian character wanted to marry a human character or vice versa? Those are interesting things that I bring up in the story itself because there's, nasty language used for vice versa groups of people, and I think that it touches on, I have a habit of touching on things, that I think about and I don't think should bother people. So I pepper them in to kind of educate without educating. You know what I'm saying? Oh shit, that dinosaur dude's like banging that human chick, da 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 da. You won't see that in the book, but it would be insinuated. You know what I mean? That was occurring. Like we have one of the short stories coming up involves a character that is a Saurian male married to a human female that wishes she was a Saurian female. So this character begins kidnapping and killing Saurian females to build a suit for her to wear, like physically walk around in their skin. So I've got all kinds of wilds. It's just as dark, it's just as gruesome as my other books are. So, I mean.
So you got furries. Do we call these like dinies?
So I laughed because I had a dude that was insulting me, and he was trying so hard. But I look at it, I laughed because somebody called it scalies, and I thought that was the funniest thing in the world. And I'm super okay with it. You know what I mean? By all means, because if there are those of us, the only difference is this: we add the sexual content. I mean, as kids, we grew up with Ninja Turtles, we grew up with Street Sharks, we've grown up with all these anthropomorphic characters, but we didn't view them as that until the furry language came out. You know what I'm saying? I don't view my characters like furries because I don't know anything about furries, so I can't even
Yeah, no.
I
I
can't
just
even
was
begin
wondering
to.
if you had names for
Yeah,
them.
no, I haven't gotten anything like that. It's funny. A lot of people have mentioned it, and the community is following it, which is cool. Because I mean, if I can bring some kind of cool stuff to a fan that may feel out of touch with themselves and enjoys what I'm writing, that's what's up, you know. But no, I haven't. I haven't put too much stock into it because to me, it was always what I liked as a kid to watch. You know, we had characters in He-Man, we've had characters in all kinds of stuff. We watched Donald Duck, you know what I mean? And all these, oh my God, Baloo the Bear,
DuckTales and
with Tailspin.
Tailspin.
Yeah, all
Yeah.
that stuff, man. We grew up with that, you know, Darkwing Duck. How's it going, Dan? Um, we grew up with all that stuff, man. And I wanted to bring an adult spin to those things that we grew up with. And it was fun, you know. It's not about creating any kind of backward fucking movement that I don't know anything about. You know what I mean? It's just, I think it's cool. You know, it's
And
badass.
just having fun.
Absolutely, it's like it's a showdown. Like one of the coolest scenes in one of the upcoming book issues is a showdown in a hallway in this massive mansion, and you've got two characters that are literally like pot shots at each other through this hallway, and like a waiter walks in and catches one right in the fucking cheek. You know what I mean? And it's just hyper violent, hyper cool stuff. And then when you get these characters that are showing empathy that look like they should be terrifying, you know what I mean, or legitimately feeling bad. And one cool thing that Joe does, or I'm sorry, as Blade and Hunter does, is he can show that in the face of a being that its facial muscles can't even normally show that. So when he creates these characters, he draws them in a way that the muscle structure is there, so you can see a lip curl, you know what I mean, or like an eyebrow droop or something that would indicate how they felt about something. I think it's really cool, man, because Dinosaurs, the show was wildly popular, right? Everybody enjoyed it. That's in our generation, our age group. I don't give a shit what people says. They enjoyed the show, and it was a huge deal, and I liked that a lot. And I thought that making an adult version of that would be super, super fun, And our cavemen aren't stupid in our book, Our cavemen are normal dudes that are taking drugs like roids to get roided up and be huge cavemen, like the same size as Saurians, and they're part of like a gang and shit, and all kinds of wild stuff. It would be like Akira if it was dinosaurs. You know what I mean? It's Blade Runner with dinosaur boobs. You know what I mean? It's that type of vibe. And I've had this we've had our fans, we've had a bunch of fans that have read The Listener that have come in and previewed the book and really enjoyed it, because for all that I am human, and we're prone to write, and we're prone to do things in our own style. And I've brought the same dark, the same nasty into this book. So what you just saw with two dudes catching, tomahawks in the face and in the head, liable to be stuff like that you're going to catch in this. You know what I mean? Because it's not repeating the same panels or anything. Don't get me wrong. It's just that level of storytelling, that you'll get. Why is somebody hunting the listener? Okay, why is somebody just disappeared from the bar? Because the bar is our main hub in the very beginning of the story. You'll be there a lot. You'll meet different dancers. You'll learn about the dancers. You'll learn about these different characters. You'll learn about Maya and Ricky's backstory. How did Ricky get the scar on his face? You'll see all those types of things, because just like every other book, I'm ahead. You know what I'm saying? I'm so far ahead that it's just like, okay, cool. It's just like my other books. If you back the book, you pledge for the book, you're going to get it because the book's already done. You know, and we're taking an 8-page promo for this book to MegaCon, and this will be the first time that I've had all my books at a show. So I'm printing the Listener 3 early, so it'll be at MegaCon. Greed will be at MegaCon, the whole nine. So I'm really, really stoked about it. But
So you mentioned Cyberpunk 2077 earlier. So are you talking like the video game or the tabletop game or
both.
both?
Absolutely both. You know what I mean? I am here, I'll show you. Hold on. Let me see if I can bring up some pages real quick so you can get an idea of what I mean when I talk about things like that, because I try to lend credence to what I'm talking about when I show you guys things.
Now, what did you play Cyberpunk on? PlayStation or on the PC?
PS4.
PS4.
Yeah.
I loved it. It caught a lot of shit because
Absolutely.
it had issues from the get go and it was
I
pretty
agree.
broken, but I still played it. Did I
Story
get
wise,
mad?
I loved it, man.
Oh,
I
it's
don't give a
great.
shit.
And you know, so many choices that affected, like, you know, in the very beginning when you were going through that building and you meet one of the cyber gangs and
Yep.
you go through and you clear out the building. There's like a spot where you run into this guy that's trapped in a room and they have him locked up, and you have the choice of letting him out or going in the room next to him and pushing the button and just blowing him up.
Yeah,
But it affected the story because if you
for
don't
sure.
kill him later on, he comes and helps you when you need him.
Yep, absolutely. So yeah, I don't know if you guys, if all your followers read comic books, but this is the first page of my book, and obviously this isn't the page with dialogue. I have shown the page with dialogue on Facebook, but I just don't have it right now. But there are 100+ characters in this page. I mean, they're flushed out characters. You can literally see down the street. I mean, you've got the flying cars, you've got the big cityscape. That's the kind of stuff that I wanted to bring to the table with this book. And then, hold on, let me grab the next one real quick. Oh, why are my folders doing that? And this is the second page where you actually get to see Piece of Tail, the neon dancers outside the bar and whatnot. It's coming along beautifully. I'm super happy with it. And I'll toot Bladen's his horn because it's really good. Like, and it's not because it's my product. I'm telling you, because it's really good. You know, his stuff is awesome, and David's coloring is, you know, spot on.
Well, just that scene there alone, you know, with all the people standing outside in line, you know, you can see the detail that was put forth in each character. It wasn't just, you know, silhouettes were, you know, flashed out and then,
For
you know,
sure.
kind of shaded in. You know, they were given details and, you know, facial features. And
Oh man, it's been a blast, dude. Like an absolute blast to get into this. Like, yeah, I'll show you one more page that we haven't shown. We haven't shown this one. This is when Eve goes into the bar. It's where she meets the bartender and is, you know, he's asking her why she's there and yada yada. And then he's going to point her in Ricky's direction, and Ricky's in the back behind the bar. But it's just been amazing to me, amazing page after amazing page. And I couldn't ask for better with the way it's coming out. You know, I have currently we have 8 pages finished, nine pages finished right now, and it'll all be done, like I said, before the Kickstarter goes live. But 9 pages in, and it's smashing, dude. It's smashing. Like, I got folks. It's funny, you know. I mentioned Steph Wilson because Steph Wilson was one of 2 people that came over from Totally Rad. It's a Totally Rad book, so there's going to be Totally Rad artists on it for sure. But he was one of 3 total. 3 total came from Totally Rad on it so far. That's not to say that more won't, but so far. And they all bring their own incredible fan base. Like, oh my gosh, Steph's cover is so much fun. Like, it's so much fun. And I can actually show it to you now because I know you're a big fan. I know you're a big Steph fan, so you like to give him shit. I know you're a big fan.
I don't know who Steph is. I never heard
That's
of him
right.
before.
That's right. But that's his cover.
Hold on, let me add it because my computer crashed. It
Oh,
was
you're
doing updates. I couldn't figure out why it kept kicking me out, and
Gotcha.
and I figured out it was doing updates in the background. So give me just a second here.
Oh, you're good, man.
I never had to do this on the phone before, and I didn't even know you could.
That's what's up. Well, it was really cool because he and Wendy killed this one. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm really excited about it. But and it has background.
I was getting ready to say it has background.
It has background. All these people talk about background. Are you back? Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. So I have another version of that, but I can't show it because
obviously, because it's a stuff cover.
So it is super cool though, mad fun. All the covers came out really, really well so far, and we just keep seeing more and more of them. Is Steph that nice blonde lady? I mean, I don't think so. I don't know. I don't know about that one.
Well, here, I mean, we've got a great picture of her. I mean, here she is right here with her beehive. She's an art breaker. And then you make her art complete.
Oh, no.
And,
no.
And then you got Steph Wilson, love songs from Cape Cod.
That's the best one right there. That is literally the best one.
And then you've got him, getting 9 apology balloons and flowers for Carrie for having to fix all of her lines.
Oh yeah, there's a lot to be said about how much fun certain covers can be and how they turn out. That duo puts out great covers every time, So, but we've had some really really cool ones come up. I unfortunately, because it's a totally rad book, can't show you hardly any of them. But I do have a cool one that I might be able to pull up that Bladen did. Yeah, I can pull this one up real quick, and you guys can see this one. This is cover A. It's one of my favorites because they're all basically my favorite. They've come out really, really, really good. And here's Bladen's cover A. It's got Corvos in the background, and then Eve, Maya, and Ricky. And I thought it was a lot of fun. It's a very dynamic cover.
That's really cool.
I mean, but that's the whole gist of it, right? It's like I have my supernatural horror that comes out bi-monthly. I have my other I don't even know what you call Greed anymore because it's just it's an offshoot of the Listener, but it's its own story, So it's but it's a lot of fun. It's a very adult book, contrary to what people assume because of the artwork they see. But I very much enjoy people's reactions once they get Greed because they're like, oh yeah, it's about a kid and his monster under the bed, right? And then you get the book and you're just like, holy shit, the monster under the bed has an awful mouth. He shoots birds at things. You know what I mean? He's just not a nice individual. And it's like, if you had the devil and the angel on the shoulder deal, but you only had the devil, you didn't get the angel that came with the package. So you've got a 10-year-old kid trying to survive with this nasty little demon telling him what he should and should not be doing. But we introduced Lilith in the next book in Midnight Snack. So it only made sense for me to bring on like David Fott and Justin Hunt to do covers. And April came back for book 1 to do a cover for that one. It's just a lot of fun. It's a super gory book, just like my other books. But it's got this lighthearted nature because you've got this 10-year-old kid and, trying to deal with this like demon, So it's like, how does he, survive these shitty situations? with this thing that just keeps dragging him into him, you know. But there's so much more beneath the surface, you know, like why is he in these situations? How can he see the monster under the bed? He's not the listener, you know. How is all this going down? You know, it's 80 years after, you know, the listener series. So, or ahead, I shouldn't say after, ahead. Well, hold on. The listener is 1942. Greed is 2021. So, yeah, about 80 years difference, you know, into the future for Greed. But in the issue 3, you start getting characters from the listener showing up in Greed that are hunting the listener. So it's an interesting, you know, tit for tat, because Cade, our monster under the bed, has his own appearances in, you know, the listener story. You know, so and there's all kinds of people that know who Cade is, but I haven't flat out said it. So, you know, we'll see. We'll see where it pans out. One cool thing for those of you that are into, you know, Greco-Roman mythology and stuff like that, we introduced the serpent tree in issue 3. So we introduced not only the serpent tree, we introduced Wrath, the Sin Wrath, and we also introduced Cuchulainn, the Celtic god. So it's going to be a really interesting thing seeing our duo run into a god who is dealing with a sin who is going to get interrupted by Lilith. And why is Lilith there? You know, what's the deal? Why did she show up in book 2? Why is she in our quaint little town? You know, all these little nuances, and the fact that she tries to, you know, at one point try to seduce our poor hero, who's like, I'm going to tell my mother, go fuck yourself. You know what I mean? So there's all kinds of cool little nuances to it, and it's a lot of fun. You know, there's, situationally speaking, it's very much more fast paced than the listener is, but I mean, it's definitely there for both fans to enjoy. You know, I could read the listener and not ever read Greed, and I would still be able to enjoy both the book I was reading. Same thing with Greed. I could never read the listener, but still have a badass time with this. You know, there's a lot more language and stuff in Greed than there is in the listener, because people didn't talk like that back then. You know, all these little nuances to it. And there's boobs in Greed, and you'll never see boobs in the listener. So, you know, there's that too. But yeah, lots of fun shit, man. Every other month, you know. So you're catching, like, this month is the listener, next month is BGD, September is Greed, then we're back to the listener in October, which is the trade paperback, which is our first 3 issues. I think that's 72 pages, or I think it's 76, because there's a couple art pages in between the issues. And then we're back to BGD for Christmas, and back to Greed for January.
So all the time that you spend researching all these gods and these deities and these religions and working on these books, what little bit of spare time that you have, what do you fill that with?
So I have a 3-year-old. He turned 3 today. Or
Oh,
yesterday,
happy
sorry.
birthday.
I appreciate it. We had his birthday party today. Ozzy is, well, that's where the character's name from for my book came from.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he takes up a lot of my time, the little bit that I have. And I have a 11-year-old daughter, so she gets my time. My wife gets my time. But in reality, man, I read a lot. Like, I read a lot. I don't read comics like I should anymore. I don't, because it's a rabbit hole for me. So I try to never repeat content. So what I do is, if I don't read books and I only put out my own content, I know that I'm not repeating someone else's content, because I didn't even know it existed. You know, now I do back, you know, I back my friends and stuff like that. And I back people that back me and all that jazz. But I tend to think they're awesome covers, and they go in a box for my collections and my kids' collections in the future, and so on and so forth. There are so many books I want to read, but it's just like, I just can't even get to it. Like I just finished. Oh my gosh, what did I just? I just finished the new Aliens, the new hardback Aliens. Oh my gosh, I can't remember the title. That's how bad it is, because my mind's always going with what story I'm writing or what I'm doing here and I'm doing there. But I just finished the new one. It was like 560 pages, hardback Aliens. Really, really good. Like it's one of the. I haven't put out a new Aliens, like a large book like that, in a while. So
was it actually a book or was it a
it was a
comics?
novel.
It was a novel?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah. It's like 560 pages. Like I said, normally they're around 300, 320, something like that for an Aliens novel. But this was really, really good in perspective on people and human beings and like the psyche itself. It was a lot of fun. I'm going back through Meg as well. I own all the books. I've probably read them twice a piece, and I'm just like, take it easy, Andre.
Have a good one, bud.
It's like R&D, right? It's R&D. So I read. I spend more time reading probably than anything else. I am a fan of picking up a video game. You know, I have a 280 something inch screen behind me. I enjoy video games. I enjoy, the time that I have for them. But it's like, I'll get on. I play RPGs more than anything because I really, really like storytelling. So, Mass Effect Legendary Edition just came out, and I just ran through that again for the umpteenth billion time since the series has come out. And I'm that guy that always makes the same choices just because I like my fucking story the way I like it, But no, it's basically reading and it working, man. Because for anybody that's put out a book, you know how much time it takes to put it out. You know how much work it is, and to do 3 of them at the same time, I promise you, is that much work times 3. Like it really. One cool thing is we hired Chuck Pino to edit our books, and he's been super, super helpful because it's like he's coming on with the next issue agreed. Next issue agreed. He's coming on with Midnight Snack. So he'll be editing all our books after that one and forward, all 3 of our IPs. And it's just like, man, I really appreciate it because my brain is like doing so much that if I miss something, it's on me because I just, you know what I mean? I didn't pay attention to it. But yeah, 18 team members, 3 different books. And it's cool because they'll work on the different IPs. You'll see them on different books, which is a lot of fun. And oh my gosh, shows, right? Shows are going on again. We did ICC in Nashville a couple months ago. We did Suncoast Comic Con like last month. That was with Jim Noble and William Russell and Mike DeBalfo and Marissa Pope and Ryan Kincaid. That was a good time.
Did you see? I gotta bring this up because this was just insane. Did you see what Marat Michaels posted the other day?
About what?
So Marat Michaels was at a show and somebody stopped by and looked through his portfolio and they said, "Man, your work's really good. Somebody's gonna pick you up someday."
You know what, man? Then you just smile, bro. You just smile. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I mean, he was kind of tongue in cheek about it. He laughed about it. He wasn't like, what a fucking idiot. He was just like, he's like, it's been a while since there's been a show. When a customer walks up to you, reviews your portfolio, and tells you your work's really good, I hope someone picks you up soon.
Absolutely. Well, it's funny. Like we, it's interesting because going to different shows, like our first show back was a Star Wars show. And it was the first show in Nashville since COVID. And I was like, I got to be there. I don't give a shit what kind of show it is. Get me a table at the first show since COVID. We did really well. We had a good time. But, I kept having people come up and they were like, hey, you got any Star Wars books? And you're like, no, whatever. It's cool. I met a gentleman who will remain unnamed because I don't want to throw him out there. And He actually worked on Land Before Time. He worked on Secret of Nim. He worked on a couple other cartoons and stuff when we were kids. Really, really nice guy. So I was putting out Greed at the time, and I had just got When Winds Weep finished, and I was like, man, I would love to have you do a cover for Greed. And he told me that it was against his religious beliefs. And that's cool. That's your business. You know what I'm saying? I'm not here to judge anybody. But the reason being was the fact that my character shot a bird. It had nothing to do with the pentagram on the Minotaur's armor or anything like that. It was my character shot a bird. And I was just like, man, I'm going to be all kinds of messed up in the future, you know. But, you know, we've had all kinds of weird things like that since, like you said, you know, and I'm sure it happens to everybody right now. Like we went to the Suncoast show, and I had a guy say that we had a cartoonist come up to us, I think it was day 2, and ask us if we wanted to sell our listener IP to him to do a cartoon. And like the whole IP, not just, you know, let him do a movie with it, though. He wanted all of it. And he was like, I'll give you $10,000. And I was like, you know, politely, no, sir, you know, I don't think that'll do it. You know what I mean? But I appreciate your time, you know, and the concept that you'd love to do a cartoon for us. You know, there's all kinds of interesting things, and people don't realize what it takes to do this, you know, and to put out a book like you just did. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, my books range, especially this one, oh my God, especially BGD with the covers and stuff, range between $5,000 to $7,000 in production. That's before printing, you know? So when you go, hey, look, and it's not that we're laughing at you or we're trying to be rude, but when you come at us with $10,000, it's like, dude, that doesn't do anything. You know what I mean? It doesn't do anything for us at all. And, you know, seeing these guys like Jim and like Tom and, you know, all these cats that have been doing this for a little while now, longer than us, the guys that I look up to in the industry, you know, that have been doing it, oh my gosh, $50,000, $60,000 a year in art. You know what I mean? And it's just like, man, how's it going, Grant?
What's up, Grant?
Grant's got some cool stuff going on.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, it's like parting that veil, you know, trying to show people the inside and the back. You know, it's like you take them to your job and you're like, look, this is behind the scenes. This is behind the curtain, you know, and it's just like 18 artists slaving away behind the curtain, you know. But what people don't get is you pay all those cats.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? All those cats get paid every month. You know, it's not like when, like, a Kickstarter, right? We do $2,000 Kickstarter, $2,400 Kickstarters and stuff, you know, but that's paying us back a little bit. You know what I mean? That's not paying for the books because the books are already done. You know what I mean? They're already finished. So that's what I joke about when people are like, hey, look, you know, I put out a book every 6 months, or I put out a book every year, or this and that. It's like, cool, I get that. That's awesome. I hope it does well, you know what I mean? But I literally don't even have the time to contemplate what other people are doing, you know? And I'm thankful. Like I told you before the show, super thankful. Just mad busy. You know, it's just mad busy. And we've got MegaCon coming up. Jim and I are going to be in MegaCon with Kyle and Cowabunga Comics. And then we're going to be in Michigan. Then we're going to be in Michigan again. Then I think I'm in. I think I'm in December. I think I'm in Chicago. Then I'm back to Florida in January. You know, it's like, I think that if you're doing it right and you're working hard enough and you're busy enough, you don't have time to see what people would call competition. You just call it unity, because these are all cats that are just cool folks. You know what I mean? Like Grant. Grant's cool as shit. You know what I mean? There's a lot of cool folks. Wendy was in here earlier. Wendy's cool as shit. You know, there's just it becomes this whole, like, when I first got into this, I was absolutely terrified. It was terrifying, the concept of coming into this ocean of talent. And I kept meeting all these salty people when I got into this. And then when I slowed down, and after we'd been at it for like 6-7 months, it was like, man, I just had met the wrong folks. You know,
Yep.
and I was around the wrong people. So it's like when you surround yourself with negativity, you're going to feel negative. You know what I mean? You're just going to feel that way. But I was around all these people that were just angry folks at people, you know. So I removed myself from those situations, and I started meeting just the coolest folks, you know, that were like, "Hey, look, check this out," or "Have you seen this?" and stuff like that. And my normal studies for my book turned into studying different stylistic things, you know, different page styles and, you know, different layouts. The magic of the page turn, you know, all these little nuances of things that I just started picking up because you surround yourself with like-minded people that are goal-oriented and working so hard that it's just like, cool, look, it's going to rub off on you. You know what I mean? You just start pushing, pushing, and pushing. You know, I've got the coolest fuckers working on my books. And dude, when I first started this, these cool ass fuckers would have not even been interested in my books. You know what I mean? Like when you first start the book, it's your very first issue. You've never done one before. You have to find an art team. You know what I'm saying? It's like you have to put that shit together. When we started working on Greed, I had the coolest people asking to do covers. Like the coolest fucking folks coming to me and go, "Hey, I'd like to work on your book." And you're just like, "The fuck? Is that for real?" You know what I mean? And then it was like, we're working with Jim. And, you know, I know you guys joke a lot with Steph, but Steph was like, "Hey, look, I'm going to do a cover." And I was like, "That's badass, please." You know what I mean? And then it was like, "Hey, I'm going to do another one." And I was like, "Fucking hey, okay. That's super dope." You know, and, you know, just like, I don't know. It's just cool, man. It's a cool experience. And I can say that I'm over the moon with excitement that I can give you guys a book every month. You know what I mean? And they just keep getting better as we go forward because we're getting better as we put out the content.
Well, and that's totally true. I mean, it's just like, you know, this was my first Kickstarter, and I've
Absolutely.
ran into issue after issue. I mean, uh, studios is spelled wrong.
Yeah.
It's Stuitos are Studos,
See,
and
that's
you
a
know,
new language. People just don't know it yet.
yeah, it's just a new language. You know, we're making it up, or you know, the whole thing with the digital proof is right, and then you pay
Yeah.
$40 to have a proof shipped to you next day, and then you get, oh, here's chapter 5, and where's the art for chapter 4? Oh, it's after the first page of chapter 5, and you get things like this that hold it up, and then
Yeah.
because I mean it sucks because like I told everybody, I'm like, hey, the books are going to get printed this week. Well, then I reached out to them and I said, hey, the proof is wrong. They're like, well, what do you mean it's wrong? And I'm like, the pages are out of order. And we need emailed back and forth. They said, oh, we're going to check our in-house copies and we'll get back to you. Well,
Right.
they got back to me and they said, okay, they collated the book wrong. We'll make sure they do it right. And I'm like, well, there's also an issue on the spine. We need to change that. Okay, I'll put that over and we'll get it fixed and we'll get back to you today. Well, like all day went by and it was like 3:30 and I'm like, oh, they're an hour ahead of me, so it's a half hour till close. I'm gonna send them an email. So I email them, hey, I haven't heard anything all day. All we need to do is switch these 2 letters and we're ready to print. I didn't hear from them for 2 days. And so the second day I called them and I'm like, hey, I haven't heard anything from you guys. This is an easy fix. I've got to get these books printed. You guys have, we had uh, picture issues and they wouldn't get back to me. And then I got back to them and I sent them what they needed. And they said, oh, we can't do that. These are the wrong size. And I'm like, yes, you can. Don't worry. I'll do it for you. I'm not resizing the pictures and sending them to you. I'll just add them in myself and send you a new PDF and you can deal with it.
Right on.
So, I had to do all the work on my own and do this. And so this pushed everything a week ahead. Well, then they had a promised time that things were going to ship out. And then they didn't ship out at that time. So then now I'm like another half a week behind. And so it's like, it's frustrating because it's like, I got to get this stuff out. And I got to
Right.
understand there's issues and people are shorthanded. But then for me to be packaging books up this weekend and I get halfway, I'm like the 44th, uh, physical pledge in boxing up and I open up a book to look at it and it's collated improperly. So then I had to go through all the other boxes and cut them open and pull them out. And I had to message the people, hey, I'm sorry, there's a shit ton of tape on your box because I had to open all these up, open the bubble mailers up to have the books in it so they can stay protected, check them to make sure they're right, put them in a new bubble mailer, and that's the other thing. I had to eat the cost of almost a whole pack of bubble mailers that I bought, to put these in. just because somebody else screwed up. But I'm not gonna like just be like, whatever, they're fine. I'm gonna send them out. I'm gonna double check it because I want people to get what they pay for.
Absolutely.
And so, people don't see all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes. And I'm very fortunate, nobody's complained. I apologize for being late. I had issues going on. I had really bad depression for a little while just
For
because
sure.
of everything that happened last year with
Absolutely.
the cancer thing and, the car wreck. And then, and then now I'm in liver failure and I got all this. And then my wife, they just got hit head on 2 weeks ago. So, we're already out medical, and my vehicle last year, we still haven't gone to court with that. Now we're out another vehicle because the other person didn't have insurance. So we did finally, after looking, get another vehicle because I don't want Roderick to be without a vehicle with his heart issues and stuff. I don't want to be at work and be like, oh my God, get home, and I start working. I leave here at 3. It's not like I can expect my wife to wake the kids up at 3 and take me to work and drive back. So it's just, it left us in a huge bind because of someone else's, being a shitty person. So like I've been dealing with that, and then I'm like, I'm gonna get these out for everybody, and then I ran into that, and I was like, are you fucking kidding me right now?
Totally get it, man. But see that, like you mentioned, that's the stuff that people don't see. You know what I'm saying? And the cool thing is, most of the time, if you have, so I find that in Kickstarters and in business itself, we sell ourselves. You know what I'm saying? We're selling ourselves as people. So if you're a shitty person, you might not do so well. But if you treat people politely and you're good to folks, 9 times out of 10 they understand the shit that happens. You know what I'm saying? Like me, I use it as an example. I'm a one-man operation. You know what I mean? Like, I have my team. I love my team, but it's still like, outside of, when it comes to fulfillment, it's all on me. You know what I mean? I don't have
and
a
it's
fulfillment
hard.
team, you know what I mean? So it's like, okay, so if an original, God forbid, but it happened, God forbid it ever happen again, an original piece of art was lost in the mail. Okay?
Oh, no.
Original piece of art. It's an expensive piece, you know what I'm saying? Just lost in the mail. And you've got insurance, cool. But now you have to explain to the customer, I'm real sorry, I can give you your money back, but I don't have that piece of art. You know what I mean? I have no idea where it is. You know what I mean? We had the insurance, we got it taken care of, got you reimbursed. But they could do one of two things. They could be understanding and, oh, that really sucks because you've got the shipping, you know where it was supposed to be. It's not there. You know what I mean? USPS is willing to give you the money back, so I'm not full of shit. You know what I mean? They can be cool with it, and they can be understanding, or they could be like, hey, look, could you hook me up with something else? Or they could be that person that's really angry with you and be like, hey, look, I want another piece of original art. And it's like, but that's what an OA is. An OA is original art. I can't give you another original art for the cover because it's gone. You know what I mean? It's gone.
Well, and the thing that sucks is it sucks when people don't understand, because the understanding needs to come in where you got your money back, but what did you as the creator get back? You didn't get back that 12, 15, 20 hours that you put into the piece, or that the artist put into the piece.
Right.
That time's gone for good.
Right.
Something you were proud of, that you put out there, you sold it. The end consumer got their money back. They're not out anything, but you're out the time, the effort, the planning, the length of time it took.
Well, you're out the payment to the artist now too. You know what I mean? The $300 to $500 or whatever it was you paid, you're out that because now you've just had to pay it back to the person that paid for it. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's a lose-lose for you. So the thing is, like I mentioned, if you're good to people and there's an understanding between you and your fans, then you can go, hey, look, man, let me hook you up with something else. I'll get you another piece of original art. I just can't get you that cover art. You know what I mean? Because it doesn't exist anymore, and you bite the bullet. It's not their fault, but it's not your fault either. So that has to have an understanding. Now, if you're good to folks, hopefully they'll be good back to you. You know what I mean? That's just like all my art teams. You know what I mean? Like when we picked up, we used to do 4 and 5 pages a week with Greed when we first started it. And when we started BGD, I was like, hey, look, we got to slow down a little bit. You know what I mean? Just because if you look at, $160 a page, and now you're doing 3 books in a month, you know what I mean, or at production at the same time, you're having to cut up funding where you put it here, when will you put it here, when does this go here, you know what I'm saying, when do you pay this part off? And like I said, I always pay ahead of time. You know, that's how I pay my artists. I tend to pay ahead of time when I can, you know what I mean? Like I'll be like, here's payment for 8 pages. You know, can we get these 8 pages done? Then when they're done, I'll pay you for the next 8 pages and so on and so forth. Just because I would pay them off ahead of time completely, but it's just not financially feasible, you know, to pay 3 teams that kind of money up front all the time, you know? So you break it down into segments, but it's like, this is our heart and our soul that we bear. You know what I mean? It's not a side gig for me. It's not a joke. It's not a hobby. You know, so I take it very personally that you guys get what you pay for and what you like. You know, what you want to see. Same thing with the art teams. You know what I mean? These guys are and gals are out there, you know, busting ass, you know, to get the best pieces out they can, because especially now with an actual editor, you know, the actual editor is like, hey, you know, this may not be right, you know, so we have to,
you mean no. You mean the actual editor's like, what the fuck, Dustin? What the fuck did you do here? This is
that
fucking
happens.
wrong.
That happens. You know what I mean?
Because you got no, because you
I
got
mean,
fuck Chuck.
yeah, it happens. Don't, you know, but it's cool because it having that behind the scenes, you know, assistance makes it all better. You know what I mean? It makes it that much easier on you because you have another pair of set of eyes, you have this, you have that, you know, and you can, you know, continue what you're doing at an even pace, you know. But I'm thankful. Man. I'm thankful, and I'm thankful that, you know, we've talked about this before, but I'm really thankful that about your family and stuff, because that's, the car accident's a scary thing, man. You know, I mean,
Yeah, I'm thankful too. I mean, like I said before, it could have been a lot worse.
for
Things
sure.
could always be worse than what they are. It's a real shitty situation. I'm thankful that my family's safe. We still have issues with Adriana. Adriana has like flashbacks. Like, I mean, I hate to use it because it's such a strong word, but she has PTSD of the accident. She's like last night, she was hysterical at bedtime, crying, bawling. Oh, mommy, I don't want you to die, and you know, I don't want to get in a car accident. And like, she was unconsolable. Like, she couldn't even breathe, crying. And, you know, it was just detrimental to them. And, you know, the vehicle can be replaced. They can't. But
Absolutely, absolutely,
family's everything, man.
man. You better believe it. I'm with you 110%. You know, like I said, the one turned 3 yesterday. You know, pool party today, and then I got the 10-year-old turning 11 in like a month. So it's like,
Oh, no.
yeah, 11 going on 30 right now at my
and,
house.
and 3 going on 35.
Yeah, that too. At least he's a little dude though, and you know, there's all kinds of cool stuff up in my office that I can generally be like, "Hey, why don't you go grab the Batmobile down? You can hang out with the Batmobile. You know, you can play with this and you can play with that and whatnot. And you know, you're in a better mood than, you know, wanting to, you know, Shanghai me and, you know, truss me up somewhere. You know, like the other one. I'm scared she's gonna come after me in my sleep, and you know, you're not gonna be able to find me for like 3 weeks, and I'll be out in the yard buried or something." I mean, but you know, but it is what it is. You know, the like I said, you know, the listeners got a couple more days. It's smashing.
3 more days.
3 more days, dude. 3 more days. If we hit 2,800, I'll throw in. I'm gonna throw in a mini print for that one. We're real close to this being the best Kickstarter we've had yet, so I'm excited about that. I mean, like I said, people are stoked about Greed. Greed's hitting. Well, it's landing now, so you're getting it in stores, and you're getting the pre-orders are coming in this week coming up, and last week they've been coming in. I'm real stoked about that. And I try to time this right. You know what I mean? I try to time it so that the Kickstarter ends as another one starts. You're getting the book from the last one. Is how I've been trying to do it. And it's worked fairly well so far. But you know, sometimes, you know, there's kinks in things, like I said, with an art piece or this or that. right now CGC is kind of frustrating me, but what can you do about that? That's one of those things that you got to pray that people understand that's not something in your control. CGC is definitely now they've gotten rid of our fast pass and all that jazz. It's kind of like you're at the mercy of these dudes that are like, it could be like 160 days before you get a book back and shit. So,
well, the thing that's disappointing for me the most with everything is, yeah, we're out of vehicle, and it was shitty the other person didn't have insurance, and I only had liability, so nothing was covered, so everything's out of pocket. But whereas I'm not gonna stop creating, I'm still working on book 2 and finishing book 2. It's set my timeline back, and not really. I could try and cram in and get art for book 2 and to go ahead and do like a September launch of it, but I've just sat down and I've come to terms with myself that I understand the fans may be disappointed that I'm going to have to make this call and push it until February. But at the same time, it's genuinely out of the fact that I don't want things to feel rushed. I don't want to try. I don't want to try to be like, oh, hey, how much would it be for a piece? And I can't afford that. I want people to be like, you don't deserve the money for your time. I just, this has put us in a really bad financial place after everything that's happened last year. And I don't want people to get an inferior product. I don't want things to feel rushed.
For sure. I mean, that's the way you have to view it. Like right now, I just talked about the Aliens novel I was reading. It was 500 something pages. How often do you think that guy puts out a 500 something page book?
Probably every 3 or 4 years.
Right. It's years in between it. How many pages was your last book?
It was 210.
Okay. So if you put out a book a year, when it comes to, I'm going to call it a novel because it's a novel to me.
Yeah, I mean? It is a novel.
So it's a novel. So if you put out a novel a year, shut up. Nobody does that. You don't see that. Even if it's 250, 210, whatever. People don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Look at, unless you go back to when we were kids and R.L. Stine was popping, he was popping books
Goosebumps.
Yeah. Like, well, he was also doing Fear Street and Ghost of Fear Street and all this.
And then you had Animorphs. Animorphs was cranking them out.
Absolutely. But they were only 150 to like 210 pages themselves.
Yeah.
But they were putting them out every couple months. But they also had a huge printer. You know what I mean? They were putting out massive publication. So if you're putting out a book a year, my friend, good on you. You know what I'm saying? Good on you for putting out a book a year. And your fans have to understand that because you want to bring the quality to the table. That's like me. I stress myself out because I write ahead of time. I write ahead so that I'm never going to get in a situation where I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to rush and give you inferior product. Mm-hmm. There are 39 full scripts of the listener that have been edited that are just waiting to be put to print, already. And if I put out 6 issues of the listener or 4 issues of the listener a year, then I'm okay for a while. Even if I jump in and go, well, I'm going to do a jumbo copy, you know what I mean? And put out, bang out a super large copy, that's 48 pages or whatever. I mean, I could do that numerous times and be where I needed to be. But I think that slow is not a bad thing all the time, because putting out a trade paperback, like all kinds of people can be like, oh, well, you're not putting out issue 4 in October. I'm not. I'm sorry. I'm putting out a trade paperback because when I started this, I promised our team that I would put out a Spanish release and I would put out a French release. So October will have a Spanish, a French, and an English trade paperback 1 through 3 of the listener. You know what I mean? It's not always about trying to bang out as much product as we can. It's oftentimes about trying to fulfill things that we said we would do.
Well, take care of the fans. I mean, that's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
And that's what's nice about being an indie creator. You can take care of the fans. Sure. It's not. Hold on, let me make a phone call. Hello. Yeah. Excuse me. I know I created this character in this book, but can we put a trade together in other languages? Oh hell no! That ain't gonna make any money. Oh, I'm sorry, guys, I can't do that. No, we're indie.
Yeah,
We don't make a phone call. We're like, oh, you want this in a trade? Certainly. Oh, you want an art
absolutely.
book? Certainly. Oh, you want this to happen, or you'd like to see more of this character? We can make another series and do a tangent on this character.
Absolutely.
Certainly.
I mean, and that's the way that we have to view things, man. I love the positive mentality that you have because I know the weight. You know what I mean? The weight is heavy. I can't say that I've been through the situations you have. I haven't. You know what I mean? But I've also been through plenty of my own. And
Yeah.
I know that there are days when it feels like it's too much. I know that there are days when depression really sucks. You know, I mean, I know a lot about that shit that I don't talk about a lot because I try to use social media as a place, and I bullshit about it, but I try to use social media as a place where we can be positive and we can
Yeah.
show positivity to people, because I feel like they come to us as creators to get away from things that are harmful.
From adversity.
Yeah, absolutely. We're trying to be, what we can be. And so those days when it's so heavy, it's nice to know that you have fans that understand how heavy that it really is, and that we're real people. You know what I mean? And I think that's something that I still have to get through my head, right? Like I am, until recently, and still to this day, I have imposter syndrome like nobody's fucking business. Like I'm sitting at a table with huge ass names going, I don't know if I'm allowed to sit here. Did I get the right seat? You know what I mean? Is this, my wife's like, shut up, just hang out, have a good time. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm allowed to be over here at this table. And it's like, but at the same time, you've earned that seat. You know what I mean? Regardless if you realize it or not, or you come to terms with it, you earn that seat. And
Well,
that's
here's the thing. You put in the time to get there.
right on.
Everyone else put in their time a long time ago and to get where they're at. You're just
Right?
starting out, but they put in their time too.
For sure.
Everybody started in the same place.
Man, that's a wild thought too, isn't it? Like we all started in that same spot, or what are we doing next? I mean, I went from being a little farm kid to working in private security, to opening a comic shop, to writing a book, to publishing a book, to owning an online business. You know what I mean? It's all these different places that take us, around our life, and we take from those little nuances to build the product that we give to people.
That's right.
Um, I'm so excited. I'm not gonna lie. There are a couple things that I really really want to read right now. You know what I mean? And there's a couple books that we're homaging, which is really exciting, that have never been homaged coming up here shortly. One of them is a Mike DeBolfo cover. There's a Persuasion cover that we're going to homage, just because the whole team thought it was beautiful. You know what I mean? I talked to Ryan Kincaid about that. He thought that was pretty cool. Um,
Another
and
great, another great guy. Him and Shannon
absolute,
are awesome.
absolute great people. Um, but yeah, so there's all kinds of cool things. And one thing about supporting indie books and indie content is, like I said, every book that you guys pick up from me pays for 18 people. You know what I mean? And we don't look at that when we just pick up a book. We're like, hey, this is cool, whatever. But it's literally paying for 18 people to work on this book, and for you to go, man, that guy's badass, or I really like this artist, or I really like that artist, and this is the cover that I want specifically. And it's like, cool, a lot of these people want to do this full time. These are incredible artists that not all of them may be doing it full time. So every book that you pick up from one of our artists moves them further into where they want to be at, closer to that goal. So it's community, man, and I joke with a couple buddies of mine, because one of them was like, hashtag community is unity. And when I saw it the first time, I laughed so hard because I was like, man, you're tacky. That's so tacky. But then when I got to thinking about it, I was like, man, that's really dope. So you're actually going to see that coming up on a t-shirt at some point with our stuff, because I thought it was really funny. Is hokey as it sounds, it's legit. You know what I mean? Because if we eat, we all eat. You know what I mean? It's that easy, man. It's a very simple concept to understand.
Well, and that's the thing that really aggravated me. It's like the first time I kickstarted my book, I had people tell me, "Oh, your book didn't fund because the art in it is shit."
Well, that's your opinion. Art is subjective. So
Well, and that's the thing, you know. I think every piece in my book, in its own, is beautiful. You know, Steph did his
absolutely,
first male character. I mean, that's going to be worth millions one day. I mean, Steph actually drew a man.
I
I
love
mean,
that. I remember you showing me that, and I just thought it was the coolest thing that
but
you
you
were
know,
going to do.
so you know, Finney. You know, I absolutely love Finney to death, and you know, they did this piece for me,
That's
and
super cool.
I absolutely love it. You know, I love anime. I love the anime style. It's one of
Absolutely,
I love manga. I love manga and all the I watch it
yeah,
regularly,
for sure.
but it's like I really respected them. You know, I back when I started Art Exposure, I asked them to come on and do a live stream. I said, "Hey, come on and draw live, show off your
Yeah,
art. I want to
yeah,
I want to get people to see your art." I don't have it with me. I got it's in my portfolio behind me, but I had them do a uh, Edward and Alphonse piece,
very
and
cool.
I had them also do a piece of what's her name from Full Metal Alchemist, the mechanic, uh,
Oh, okay. I don't know her name, but I know who you're talking about. Rose
Winry.
Winry. There you go. I knew it was an
Uh,
E at the end of it.
yeah, so I had her do had him do a steampunk Winry,
How cool.
and it turned out beautiful, and you know I'm not. It's not like I'm trying to brag, but I got them to go on and do this show. So they decided to start a TikTok, and they started drawing live for other people because they were like too embarrassed to do it before. But that doing the show with me was a foot in the door. And within like 3 months, they had like over 40,000 followers. People that were like, "Your art's dope. I really love your art."
Yeah,
Yada yada yada. And so it really gave them the self esteem to they started working on their own webtoon and stuff like that. But you know, we hadn't spoken in a little while, and I reached out and I said, "Hey, Finn, how's it going?" And they were like, "Oh, it's going pretty good. I'm working on the webtoon. You want to see some of it?" And I was like, "Yeah, share it with me. I want to read it." And I was like, "Hey, this is kind of out of the way. I know we haven't really spoken in a while, but I'm finally, making my 10-year dream come true. I would be honored if you would do a piece for me." And they're like, "Oh, sure, are you sure?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I would be honored. I want you to do a piece. This is what I want you to do. I want you to hide these Easter eggs in there. Uh, these are all stuff that is in the story. We're not really going to talk about it, but I want you to add this and this, and then people are going to ask questions. They were going to read it. They're going to come back later and go, 'Oh, this makes sense now.'" And they were like, "Yeah, that's awesome." And so I paid them up front. I was like, "Hey, here's this," and they got it finished. They sent me the art, and I paid them a bonus at the end. I want to take care of people. I want them
for
to,
sure.
feel loved. I want them to feel that they're worth something. No, I'm not going to let you do a piece for my book for $75. Here's $250. You're going to get paid like a normal artist
Right
does.
on. Right on.
But it's about building up people, and it really pissed me off when someone was like, "Oh, your art was shit," and it's like, you know what? I have mad respect for this person. You don't know who it is. Everybody when they start out in the art world, um, uh-oh. We lost Dustin, or we lost me, or something. But anyway, what I was saying is, you know, I have mad respect for him. Everybody in the art world starts out somewhere. It's like the con that I went to. Um, Matthew Atchison was there, and looking at the art from 2019. I'm gonna wait for Dustin to come back. Looking at the art from 2019 that he had up, and then turning around and looking at the art from 2021 and 2020, you could see that huge change. It was like this art really wasn't great. It was good, but this art's freaking banging, man. There was this John Wick piece that was all in pencil, the detail on the buildings and in the flowers and in just like in the freaking window balconies and the window sills. The amount of detail put into that was just insane. Whereas this piece from 2019 was like, yeah, I don't really know where this was going, but you know, guys, make sure you show artists love, whether you like them or not. You know, everybody just like Steph Wilson. Not everybody loves Steph Wilson's style, but there's a lot of people that do like Steph Wilson's style. But just because you don't like it doesn't mean everyone else shouldn't. Just don't look at it. You don't have to go by and put on there, oh, I don't know why people buy your stuff or you like your art because your art's stupid. I mean, nobody cares about your opinion. If we like it, we're allowed that opinion. Um, I'm going to give Dustin a couple of minutes to come back. But guys, let's have respect for each other. I've noticed a lot of negativity in the community lately. We've had a lot of people that, talking smack about other people's books and, or, bitching about, artists, namely Steph Wilson's been the one lately. And, like I said, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. If you don't like somebody's art, that's cool. I may not like an artist that you really love. But everybody's into different stuff. If we were all into the same thing, we wouldn't need other artists. Everybody would just draw the same. I mean, so come on, let's have love for each other and other artists. But definitely check out Dustin's stuff. The Listener, I got Greed. I'm going to read it. I'm planning on trying to do a review show on it. I've got that, and I also picked up some books. But I got Fire Bitch 2. I got Belial 2, which I was supposed to do a review on. And that was about when everything started going insane with me, and the medication and stuff that I was on was making me really depressed. So I never got around to it, and I forgot on the show that I was on because I was in a lot of pain that day. But we're gonna have some awesome books coming up, guys. We got Belial 2, Fire Bitch 2. We've got Greed. I'm gonna try to get on the Listener. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to with everything that's happened. Trying to think of what else came in. I had some really good stuff coming, and I haven't even had a chance to do live unboxings because, as you can see, the giant mound of. Oh, he's back. He's back. I see the one.
Hey, sorry about that.
Oh, dude, it's all good. But I don't know. You were watching on the other thing, weren't you? Okay, so you heard what I said. I don't have to repeat it. But yeah, no, man. Like I said, that really pissed me off because it's like I had mad respect for him. I knew him personally. We had talked for a little while, and I wanted to help build them up by giving them this piece to do. And I'm like, how dare you say that the art was shit? That's what you think. There's other people that are like, this art's badass. And so like I was saying, people need to stop tearing other people down.
Absolutely. Well, it being subjective is something that I feel like we have to teach people that art is subjective. I hate to say it like that, but you get people that are like, oh, this is badass, and they can turn around and look at something else without breathing and be like, this is shit. You know what I mean? But in reality, it's shit to you. The buddy that you're talking to may not feel like that piece of art is shit to begin with. Now, you also have to think that that's a human being that you're demeaning when you talk like that. You know what I'm saying? This is their livelihood. This is their whatever it is to them, their hobby or whatever. But you can't cut people down like that. You know what I'm saying? It's very it's like it's almost like a learned trait. And I'm not trying to be a dick, but if people cut you down throughout your life, that's probably, your home or your family or whatever else. That's probably where you get the mentality that you should be like, oh yeah, that's shit. Because someone has said to you at one point in time, something you did was shit.
Well, I mean, and here's the thing, people don't know. I could have had, you could look at a really awesome piece of art that somebody with a mental handicap did that spent 15 hours toiling away, working their ass off on this piece. And the people that know that appreciate the art. And then you got some dickbag that walks up and it's like, oh, this art's terrible. Whoever did this is an idiot, and here you are, you're talking about somebody that, may have a mental handicap, or here you are, talking about somebody that, is just starting out in the art world, and you're going to snuff that flame that they have when they could be freaking, Da Vinci or, brain fart. You could be a great artist down the road. Everybody starts somewhere. And,
for sure.
Here's the thing. We all got to stop and think. I mean, when it gets to the bottom line, somebody paid millions of dollars to buy a fucking banana taped to a wall. So don't tell me that any other art in this world sucks. If somebody's going to spend millions of dollars, yes, I'm bringing that up, to buy a fucking banana that's taped to a wall.
I
I don't
mean,
want to hear anything.
what's the dude that shits paint? You know what I mean? I mean, people are into different things. Like I said, it's subjective. You know,
It is
I
subjective.
worked at a museum for 4 years. You know, it's very everything is subjective. You know what I'm saying? You could tell me that, oh my gosh, I'm an easy to use. I'm a low hanging fruit because I have nudes tattooed all over my body. So I'm a low hanging fruit for conversation. That's awesome.
You know, my art's not the greatest. I'm not claiming to be an artist. I'm not claiming to be awesome. But you know what?
Fun.
And I go back and forth with it, man. You know, like, going on the stuff show and
That's
doing
right.
the you can draw, and I
That's
try
right.
to have fun with it. And then I don't know, like sometimes I get embarrassed because
You
I like,
shouldn't ever. Don't ever get embarrassed.
and I do. I have a freaking blast with this stuff, man.
That's so much fun. Maybe it is like this, and I'll say this. Maybe you don't even know your own style just yet. You know what I mean? Because, and that's super cool. I love Rocco. There are these times when you realize that, look how fun that is. Was that on a You Can Draw?
Yeah.
Yeah. I bet.
There's stuff full with a
Uh-huh.
freaking Acme rocket
Yep.
launcher.
And that's the fun stuff about it, because as you look at things, right? Not everybody's style is for everybody, and that's where the subjectivity comes into it. You know, I'm not a fan of blue shit that got shit out of somebody and hit the wall. You know what I mean? That's just not my bag. Yeah, see, that's funny. That's funny. Get away from
And it's
Twitter.
Yeah, instead of Spider-Man in the window, it's Critter and it's
Oh
Tom
my gosh,
Hutchison.
that's funny. Yeah, for sure. See, and those are things that we have to. So I have a friend that's just getting into things, and she's super young. She's having a great time, but she got cut down by somebody. You know what I mean? And it really warped her psyche for like a good month. You know
Oh,
what I
it's
mean?
detrimental, man.
It's such a smashing thing. You know what I mean? And the worst thing about it is it's never from people that even are relevant to you as a human being. You know what I'm saying? It's not a peer, and if it's a peer, it shouldn't be. You know what I mean? It's these folks that come in and they're like they feel like they don't know you and they have the right to judge what you're doing. As creators, we give you the right when we put our stuff out freely. We give you the right to judge what we give you, but there's tact with judging things. If I may like, let's say I like you, but I don't like your book. Okay, that's cool. You know what I mean? I like you as a person. You're a great dude. You know, and we lost Russ as we were talking about. We liked him as a person. Um, but at the same time, we may not be fans of somebody's book or their product just because we like them. You know, um, welcome back.
Now I got kicked. StreamYard's
So,
being a dick.
yeah, so it's like, like I said, I may like you as a human being a lot, and I may not like your book, and that's okay. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you can enjoy a human being and then not enjoy their product, but I'm not going to come out and be like, we're cool, so I'm going to tell you your book fucking sucks. I mean, what the shit? Who does that? You know what I mean? So at the same time, just because I may not like you, but I enjoy your product, I'm not going to beat your product down or beat you down. You know what I mean? That's just not my cup of tea. So we
Well,
have to. It's learned behavior. You know what I'm saying?
and the thing is
It's
people.
fun. You know.
Well, yeah. Well, you gotta. Here's the thing. Let's make this deep. Let's get
Oh,
really deep with it. People got to stop and think about this. When you're cutting somebody else down and you're snuffing their flame and you're really doing something detrimental to their psyche and making them stop and think for a month, why are they wanting to do this, or why should they even try to do this? Stop and think about every single person in this chat, in this video, in the live, in the world, at one point in their life said, I want to be this when I grow up. And how many people in your family, how many teachers, how many peers, how many friends told you that's stupid, don't do that? And how many of us have grown up and gone, I really regret not doing what I always wanted to do? I always wanted to be a writer. Everybody said, don't do that, Russell. Oh, don't do that, because if you do that, you're never going to be able to own a house or have a car. Writers don't make any money. Blah, 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 blah. Or the same thing with artists. Oh, don't be an artist when you grow up. You guys don't make anything. But you know what? Here's the thing. I came full circle. I went from not becoming a writer to I have my first published book now, and I couldn't be happier about it. It's like I finally did. My whole life I had that one thing, that nagging feeling. I regret not doing what I wanted to do. And then now it's come full circle, and I'm doing what I want to do, and I feel like that weight's been lifted. Like my whole life I've not been doing something I should be doing, and that's what it was. It was I should have been writing. So you got to stop and you got to think about how many people told you not to do what you wanted to as a kid and told you how stupid that was and how that made you feel and how that made you not want to do what you wanted to do and how much you regret that now in your life. Every time you put down somebody else's stuff, you're doing what that person did to you when you were a kid.
Absolutely. That point of view is the best way to look at it. Like, I love my dad. I do. I love my dad. But my dad was super old school. And when I was younger, he had a drinking problem. You know what I mean? And, I'm trying to use this politely, say this politely as I possibly can. Reading books was very queer to him. You know what I mean? And Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like that. And queer is the nicest way I could put what he would call me for doing those things. You know what I mean? And now my dad is one of my biggest supporters, and that took, oh my gosh, we didn't talk for almost 18 years, after I got out of the house and was in college and stuff, we didn't talk. So the fact now that, we've moved states to be closer to them as they get older and stuff. And, my wife I can walk, a quarter of an acre to be at my mom and dad's house now. It makes a difference, that now it's like you mentioned, it's come full circle. He's one of my biggest fans. Every time I put a script together, he wants to have my mom read it to him, because I mentioned earlier that people treat you ways because they felt certain ways about things. My dad is not the greatest reader in the world, nor is he the greatest speller in the world. You know what I mean? But he's very intelligent. Those were just not things that they were taught as well as they should have been, So yeah, he may have disliked the fact that I did it because he wasn't great at it, and cool, whatever, you know what I mean? But when I surfed and when I wrestled, he approved, and, he was there for everything, but now it's like, hey, my mom will be like, hey, do you have the next book done, because your dad wants to hear it. And it's just like, it's epic to me.
It's the greatest feeling in the world. Somebody that was totally against it now is your biggest supporter. And it's like, Absolutely. It makes it feel worth it that you're, I don't even know what the word I'm looking for is.
Your villain is now your pseudo hero, you know what I mean? Your anti-villain instead of for sure. I think that we as people have to continue to evolve. I could just have easily been like, yeah, look, you don't need to know shit about what I'm doing because you treated me like this, or this. But like I said, he's an advocate for everything I do now. We started talking about doing dinosaur boobs. He thought it was the funniest thing in the world and was behind it. And I was like, I don't know that I can do sex in my books. Like, and, even though it's a totally rad book, you know what I mean? I was like, I don't know if I am there, And I remember my dad going, what does Jim think? And Jim is all for it, you know what I mean? But he was like, you should do what, those ahead of you have done, and they're successful with it, and they think that's what you should do. Your friends aren't going to lead you in the wrong direction. And I was like, here's the dude that told me like fantasy stuff is dumb when I was a kid, telling me that dinosaur sex is okay. I was just like, it's an epic moment. to see these things and live through these experiences because they build us as people. You know, as shitty as things are in our youth, still creates us as people. That's not to say that we still can't be molded and changed when we get older, because like you mentioned earlier, it's so detrimental to speak down to someone, to their psyche and how they feel, especially if they have a mental illness to begin with. You know, now you're just destroying walls that it may have taken them forever to build up. You know, we worked with a lot of agoraphobics because my wife doesn't like crowds. You know what I mean? So we opened our shop, we made it accessible to agoraphobics, and we made ways to make them comfortable in our store. You know what I mean? And that became a huge thing. All of a sudden, I've got a group of agoraphobics playing D&D on Sunday mornings at the same table. Shut up. You know what I mean? It was just a really cool thing. And to see all these aspects of stuff come together, we have to realize we are all human beings. You know what I mean? We are all at fault for something or another in our lives. No one's perfect. I'm sure I've said some shit off color. I'm sure I fucking said some shit. You know what I mean? Not in the recent past that I can think of, but you know, unless it was true. You know what I mean? Then I'm pretty honest about things. But when it comes to people trying, though, you know, it doesn't matter what it is. Like if my son puts together a puzzle and he thinks he's just the greatest thing since Albert Einstein, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, dude, you are totally, you know. Or my daughter comes in after she's been the biggest shit she could possibly be for an entire day, but she figures out she could do something badass in Animal Crossing. It's like, dude, you're so intelligent. Good job. You know what I mean? Even though you're a shit. Now go back upstairs. You know what I mean? It's just like there are these things that we can teach ourselves as we get older, you know, just by paying attention to people and surrounding ourselves, like I said earlier, by like-minded individuals. If you don't want to be shitty, find yourself a group of shitty people to be around. You know, and then you're going to realize, man, I really don't like these fuckers. I don't want to be around these shitty people. You know, and that's and it happens to a lot of us because, especially in industry and stuff, because we don't know who's shitty. You know what I mean? We come in, we're all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, yeah. And you come in and you're like, oh no, I think I stepped into the wrong pool today. You know, this is not great. You know, just
Yep.
can I go over to the other pool? They seem cool over there. They're not peeing in the pool over there. I'd like to go hang out with them. You know, but it's like that. You know, and to quote a bunch of people, it be like that sometimes. You know, it's funny to me, like there, and you know, we use Steph as an example a lot because he's super fun. You know, he's a great dude, but his art style stands out. It's very different. You know what I mean? And he created that. He didn't just stumble upon that. He'll tell you it took him years to get to that particular way of doing his own art. And you could get people that go, well, that's simplistic, or that's this, or that's that. But he's got a shit ton of fans. I love it. I think it's super fun. You know what I mean? It's always a good time. Guarantee when I get on Facebook in the morning, there is an interesting image that he has posted of some form of something. And it's just like, that's really cool. I would have never thought about it like that. You know what I mean? Like he did something with the thing for the dockmaster looking for seamen. You know what I mean? But as an artist and as a creator, I immediately looked at her boots and I was like, man, that's really cool. Like the angle of the feet, the way the character's standing, you know, that's great, you know. But we all look at different things when we look at pieces, and that's what gives us our opinions. You know what I'm saying? Whether they're subjective or not, we just have to realize that if I don't like it, I can just shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? That's all it takes. I don't even have to say shit. Just shut up. You know what I mean? That's it. And you can create such an atmosphere by shutting the fuck up sometimes that it's unbelievable. You know what I mean? You may have, especially if a person has a mental illness and is like, man, look, they've been thinking about killing themselves. I've been there. It's a shitty situation. You know what I mean? If you're thinking about hurting yourself, get help first off. You know what I mean? But, you know, if you're on the other end and this person has like been sitting there and they're just in a really bad state and you pile shit on top of it, that may be just what it took to get them to take their greatest gift from them. You know what I mean? So there are all these nuances to how we treat people and how we're expected to be treated. And I don't know, it's a sad place, man. It can be really, it can beat you down really quick. But there's always someone that'll talk to. And if there are anybody that watches this that has any kind of issues, feel free to contact me. I'll bullshit with you. I've been there. It's a shit fucking road to be down. So I'm available all the time.
He's the listener.
I am the listener. Oh man, I'm not that cool. He's a cool character though.
And with that being said, I'm going to shut down this show, and I want you to give your spiel for what the listener is about and tell them where they can find it. And I've been trying to get the computer to work to put the link in, and it's still doing updates. Good, yeah. So
you're so good. On the
I'll
spot.
give you the full screen for this. So
not the full screen.
The full screen.
Oh gosh. For any of you guys that know me, I suck at elevator pitches. The Listener Book 3 is got a couple days left. It's literally the third book in our wildly successful series, in my opinion, anyway. But it's we're introducing you guys to the first listener, Addie's grandfather, and we begin the hunt for Sonny. And for those of you that are, following, you've been asking for it for a couple months now, and it's here. They're tracking the betrayer, and we're also getting heavily into the other side, and that's exciting too. And you can find all those books currently at the Kickstarter that's going on right now. Just do a search for the Listener Beginnings. And then with that as well, if you haven't read the other books previously, they're available on that Kickstarter. They're also available at www.thelistener.xyz. And yeah, man, that's about it for me. I got a bunch of shows coming up. You can see me in a bunch of different states. Florida, Florida, Michigan, Florida, Chicago, Tennessee. I'm in all kinds of places in the next few months. So I'd be happy to hang out and see you guys and say hello and whatnot and get some books signed too.
And also, guys, that link is in the description of the video. I apologize. I haven't had the computer on for like a little over a week, and now it is just now decided that it has a bajillion updates that need to be installed. So things have gone completely cuckoo. You know how that goes. Yeah, see, now of course, to get the link in StreamYard, it says I have no camera or audio access. Like, what are you doing to me, StreamYard?
Hey, man.
It says, are you having issues? Yes, I'm having issues.
Don't judge StreamYard, okay?
Don't judge me, StreamYard.
Gosh. Jeez. That's probably because I'm in like 2 of them on accident right now, so don't feel bad.
It's not your fault. No, it's totally the computer. I think I've gone in and been kicked out so many times that finally just booted my access to it.
It's sick of your shit, Russell.
It's
Russell guy again.
Here we go. Yep, here we go. We're coming in. We're coming in hot. It's gonna break. It's gonna break everything. Hold on. We got to copy and paste and hit comment as soon as possible because in like 3.2 seconds, we did it. So there you are, folks. There is the link to the Kickstarter. Please go check it out. Check out the other stuff that he has to offer. Yeah, we're gonna click out of that before it crashes.
Yeah, don't get crashed on.
That's all right. If it crashes, I'll just throw it out the window. So thanks so much for being here tonight. I'm going to kick you to the back room, hang out there for a second, and I'll be right back. Bye, Felicia. I don't know. That just sounded good. So, folks, thanks so much for being here tonight. Thanks for checking out the show. For those of you that come back and watch this, I appreciate you as well. Thank you so much for being here. Please go check out The Listener. As Dustin said, you can get back issues 1 and 2 on the Kickstarter, as well as the newest issue, issue 3. If you can't afford to back a pledge level, throw $1 at it. Throwing $1 at it, what can that do for a creator? It can show that you support their book and that you're excited about it. And it can also show everyone that follows you that you backed a project that they may have not seen pop up on Facebook, pop up on Kickstarter, and they may want to check it out. It may be something they're really interested in. So definitely try to back for $1 on any project that you think is cool. And if you can't do that, please at least share the project out. Sharing the project out helps us as creators a whole lot, because a lot of times when we share on a daily basis or every other day, Facebook usually tends to bury our posts and people don't see it. And you know how they limit it to so many people see your stuff every day anyway. So just you alone sharing it can help other people that haven't seen the project see it and check it out. And it might be something they're interested in as well. Because us as creators, we rely on you guys a whole lot, and it helps us, and we really do appreciate it. So, guys, definitely check out ZenonaniteTitan.com/shop and go check out the CB4K apparel on there. Please go buy a shirt, a hoodie, tank top, anything like that that's on there. We have stuff for kids, women, and men, anything you can think of. These shirts, what do they do? All money raised from this goes towards CB4K.org, which is a great organization that raises money to help send Pez dispensers, coloring books, comic books, and pop figurines to hospitals across the nation with kids who are critically ill and in hospitals. Just one of these comic books or toys could really make their day. They could be having a really bad day going through chemo and have a bad prognosis, and they can sit down and read a superhero story and help take them away from their life. Because, like we said before, people come to us as creators to read this stuff to get away from this thing right here, adversity. So, guys, please check that out. Please purchase the t-shirt. All proceeds goes towards that organization. 100% of the proceeds that go to the organization are used to ship these books and stuff, because God, we all know how expensive it is to ship comic books. Their typical shipments around $250 to $300, shipping out these massive boxes to the hospitals so they can use all the help you can get, and just know that you're helping kids out. As always, guys, I appreciate you, all of you, and support indie creators. As usual, this is Russ Explode Studios with projects that'll blow your mind. You guys have a great night and a great week.